What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another BTD6 challenge. Today we're going to get the two Megapops with the Desperado middle path, the Golden Justice, and I know that there has been some pushback against this type of content in the community because a lot of people think that it's way too easy now with Geraldo just carrying with his items, but I honestly think this one's pretty good because you don't have to use Geraldo items if you really don't need to. Overall, this is just a pretty solid tower. It gives you just enough challenge with the difficulty of it to make it interesting, but not quite enough to where you're smashing your fist on your desk with frustration, because for the love of God, why is the RNG for the spike mine so freaking bad? That being said though, there's not really much to say, so we'll just comment on the strategy as it goes on. So we get a round 10 Geraldo. Unfortunately, even though I did say that there's pushback against Geraldo, he is still the best hero for these because you do need some of his items for some of these earlier games, especially with some of the challenge it provides. What is the plan here? Well, the plan now, as you can see by the placement of the Desperado, is to take advantage of the straight line action on Resort and give him as many range buffs as possible to maximize the amount of crits, as well as just standard primary tower buffs like the primary temple. Obviously we're going for Alk buff, we're gonna have to go for the overclock, and we just need to try and make sure that we can keep the balloons out of the range as much as possible to hit with the sniper. That's pretty much all there really is to it. So we experience our first death on round 21. That's pretty much expected because we are trying to save up for the Deadeye upgrade, and unfortunately the Desperado just does not have a very good early to mid game without its tier 3s. With a purchase of a Sharpening Stone and some target prioritization, we can easily get through the round with no issue. So we finally get the Deadeye on round 30, and you might have noticed that we had to get a couple more towers, and that's simply because this thing fires super slow. So I wanted to get the Alchemist kind of early to make sure I had a little backup plan, and now the plan is to just sink the sub and start buffing up the Deadeye to make it to round 40. So we die again on round 36, and I decide to just pick up an AMD. I don't know if that's ultimately what wound up changing it, or if I just got slightly better RNG, but this next part pretty well explains why this game is so taxing at times. Very RNG heavy, and it can make things super easy or super difficult whenever it chooses to. Here we are in round 40, and with what we have with everything, it's no challenge at all. So the big plan now is to just save up, get some buffs stacked on this, and the next big round I was worried about wasn't actually 63, it was 49. A lot of these smaller scale challenges I've started doing in my spare time with like monkey teams and whatnot have really made me hate round 49 simply because of how weird it is for certain lower tier towers. So my plan was to get the bounty hunter as soon as I possibly could, as well as start stacking up on a couple more buffs that I could before this became a problem. Here's round 49, and as you can see, it wasn't nearly the challenge that I had actually anticipated it to be. I mean, sure, it gets through a little bit, and it does feel like I'm falling behind just a tad bit when they come into the range of the revolvers, but ultimately, there's no real danger. I was just worried there'd be like a regrow farm, or some of the ceramics would be an issue, but the high DPS of this upgrade is really worth it for that round. So I was pretty worried about this round, but I don't know if it was my strategic usage of the abilities, or if it's just because this is a really good tier 4. This round was nowhere near the threat I thought it was going to be, and now we just move on with the save up for the Golden Justice. We die again on round 65, but with a proper usage of the range increasing ability, we're able to make sure we don't get overwhelmed as much as we did before, and also by popping the, marked ability, whatever it's called, we're able to deal some pretty decent damage to the BFBs to make sure they don't get past the way they did before. So we die again on round 74, but it's honestly as simple as just watching my money and buying the Golden Justice as soon as it becomes available. You might be wondering why I wasn't using the marked ability. That's simply because I was trying my hardest to make sure I had it for 76, because I wasn't sure if I was going to have the money up to get the Golden Justice in time. It's better safe than sorry, but on the event, like as you see, we do get the Golden Justice, so I probably could have used it and avoided a death here. And with round 76 down in literally 2 shots, the only real remainder of my plan is to just save up for the permabrew, get the overclock, and maybe pick up a couple support towers. There's ultimately nothing I really need to do except make sure that I have enough attack speed to deal with heavily dense rounds like 95 and 98, so ultimately this tower makes this challenge incredibly easy. So, slight spoiler alert, I actually died twice on this round because I had it set to strong and kind of forgot about it. But once I fix that, we get through the round with no issues. So, it's not really a super important death, and part of the reason why I'm glad they added the restarts on chimps, because I guarantee you I'm not the first person to screw up and make this kind of mistake. Now to check back in with round 90, as you can see, we're trying to get a relentless glue as far over to the left as we can, and we have no issue with DDTs right now, but that's just because there was only a small number of them. We absolutely do still need to get the overclock, but first I want to try to get the relentless glue just to make sure it helps out a little bit, because ultimately DDTs aren't really a bad problem with a tower like this, as long as you can keep them slowed down enough to get hit properly. Round 95 kind of showed me that I should have went for the overclock before the glue, because we actually did die 3 consecutive times on round 95. And it wound up with us finally just buying the 19th level of Geraldo, slapping on the pickle buff, the fire invisibility potion. We actually died because the pickle attack speed reduction with a slow attacking tower like this is pretty bad. I should have went for the overclock, and I feel like if I had gone for the overclock, I probably wouldn't have died on this round at all. But live and learn, I guess. And here we are at the end of this challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video as opposed to how I did the much longer 2 Megapops challenges where I didn't really go too much in depth with it. I feel like I did a little bit better with this one than I did with those. But overall, what are my thoughts on this tower? Well, for one, this is one of my favorite tier 5s in the entire game, simply just on how strong it is and how much fun it is to use. If you give it a bunch of range buffs and a bunch of attack speed buffs, it absolutely decimates. And I really hope that the next tower we get, if there's any more on the way, are just as good. And with all that said though, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.